Well, hello. Welcome back to The Fostered, and if this is your first time, welcome. I am so happy to have you here with me today. Today's episode is all around limiting distractions so we can show up as our best self and get more of what we want done. This topic came to me because I hate to say it, I like to think that I can multitask. And I've had to come to the true reckoning that multitasking is not real. There is no way that you can really put out your best work or work effectively if you are not focused. I feel like I had lost my focus. I would be editing videos and have my little fun guilty pleasure, not even a guilty pleasure. My thing that I love is to have like a little show in the background while I'm working. And I like to think like, oh, it's background noise. I'm not even paying attention. And then my boyfriend will come out and he'll like see me just staring at my iPad. And he's just like, are you doing any work? And I'm like, oh, I've gotten sucked into my little show that was supposed to be my background noise. Or I'll like have my phone near my desk and I'll be like scrolling and saying I'm looking for inspo while I'm doing like something else. And it's just like not effective. And a lot of times these situations stir from just not having like a real outline for the day. This past weekend, Montez went to his sister's graduation and he took the iPad with him. And I've gotten so much done. And it made me realize, because I was starting to think, I was like, man, am I just lazy? Am I undisciplined? Like, why can I not get things done? And it's like, I'm not lazy. I've just been so distracted. Like, I've been so productive this weekend. I've gotten more done in these past 2 days than I've gotten done in the past freaking month, which is kind of sad to say, but it's the truth. When you work without distractions, you'll surprise yourself by how much you can truly get done and how effective you can be at doing the things that you want to do. And it's not like I've been working around the clock. It's just the time that I'm working, because it's not riddled with distraction, has been just so effective. And I've just been able to get so much done. So I wanted to share some of my biggest tips around how you can also limit distractions and get more done. Tip number 1. First, we have to identify our distractions. What are the things distracting us? We cannot change what we cannot name. Because for me, I really didn't think that watching Real Housewives of New York in the background was distracting me from my work. Like I said, I thought it was just like having a little show on in the background. Since having that be removed, I've noticed that it is a distraction. It keeps me from being effective and it dilutes the amount of work that I'm able to put out in a given hour. And so for you, figure out what your distractions are. If you're having trouble coming up with them, or it's hard for you to name outside of the main things, like it's so easy sometimes for us to just name like our phone. Something I would really suggest doing is doing a time audit, where you basically go through every single thing that you do in a day, write out every single hour what you do. The thing about doing a time audit though is you can get distracted from doing your time audit. And so sometimes it can be nice if you live with someone to have them help you. Like for me, I would probably forget to truly track the amount of time that I'm watching Real Housewives of New York, because I'm multitasking with supposedly editing. And so if you can have someone help you, that's great. But if not, just like write down every single thing. Like no detail is too small. And then from there, compare it to the things that you wanted to get done for that day. So look at your to-do list, look at what you wanted to get done compared to what you actually did. Whatever kept you from doing the thing that you wanted to do, those are going to be your distractions. And so I want you to write those down, list them out. For me, largely, it is my phone, and now I know having a little show on in the background. This brings me to point number 2, which is turning off your notifications. I know it may sound scary. You're like, what if I miss out on something? Don't stress out. First of all, most likely you're not going to miss out. And I think it's that fear that keeps us perpetually distracted. We live in a 24-hour news cycle. There's just things that are always vying for our attention. And a lot of times when you hear people say like they do social media cleanses and then they come back, it's like you feel like you didn't miss anything at all. So just calm down. The information that really needs to get to you, it'll find a way. I had like 5 people text me about this Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef, like I haven't even listened to the songs, but it'll find the news that is most important will find its way to you. So don't worry. Turn the notifications off. It'll be ready and waiting for you when you actually have the time to go on your phone and scroll and do whatever you need to do. It's something about those notifications just lighting up that makes you want to just click on them And before you know it, you've been sucked into your phone for 2 hours. So just turn them off. If you can, I would even suggest doing do not disturb. If you're feeling a little anxiety around hearing that, you can let people in. Like if you need to let your spouse or your children or whoever, I don't know who's listening to this, but if you need to let your most important people in, you can have the settings that will let them in and they'll get in just fine. You can also set it up to where you have like an automatic message that goes out. There's ways to be protective of your time. And I think that's what really this is about. When you are limiting distractions, you are being a safeguard for your time so you can get the things that you want to done. Because what I've really learned is that to get a lot of things done, you have to be a master at time management. Because time just goes by like that. You'll turn your head for a second, look back, 5 hours have blown by. And so we really have to just be such safeguards for our time. This brings me to my tip number 3, which is utilizing the timer feature either on your Apple Watch or your phone, or even buying an actual timer. My boyfriend, he actually bought a physical timer from Amazon. It was like $12. And that has been so helpful for him keeping on track of things. For me, I think I really suffer from time blindness. So what I've been doing, I use the timer on my Apple Watch. I'll set it for however long. Say I want to scroll on my phone or I feel like I'm about to scroll. I set a timer and I'll set it for like 15 minutes and then that timer goes off. Sometimes I do hit repeat, but it keeps me more mindful of how long I've been scrolling versus just hopping on my phone and scrolling for however. The problem with this, though, is that you have to have the presence of mind to remember to hit the timer on your phone or on your Apple Watch. Because sometimes you'll pick up your phone. I know I've done this many times where I'm like going to check one thing and then I've been on TikTok for 2 hours. So you have to have the presence of mind. In those instances, though, there's this app that I really love called Forest. And I bet there's other apps that can do this as well, but this is just the one that I've used. It plants little digital trees for you. And these trees only grow if you don't touch your phone for whatever time that you've set it for. And so when I'm working and I know I don't want to be scrolling on my phone, I like to use this app as a way to just not even have me go on it. But having that app on my phone, like when I use that, it makes me realize like how much I pick up my phone, which is kind of crazy. There's actually on your screen time, it'll tell you like how many pickups you have. I hate looking at that because it's just like such a disgustingly high number. But yeah, it'll show you like, it'll say like, put me down. And then if you end up going into your phone, the trees die. And so it's always so sad to see a little dead tree. And outside of that app, you can also set time limits on these apps in general. So I can set a time limit on Instagram. I can set a time limit on TikTok. Those have been really, really helpful. And TikTok also has, this is how you know I really scroll. If you've scrolled, I think for like an hour, there will be like a little person that pops up and it'll be like, oh, you've been scrolling for a while. When you get that girl, you know, you've been in it deep. I was talking to somebody recently and she was like, I've never seen that before. And I was like, oh, you have a healthy relationship with your phone if you've never seen that person, because I for sure have. Lots of safeguards you can add around time blindness as it pertains to social media and scrolling. Now, I think the timer can go beyond that. Oftentimes when I'm cleaning up, I will say I'm doing like a 30-minute quick little tidy clean, and then it'll turn into a 2-hour deep clean because I've started going through my old journals and I'm reading about my old ex-boyfriends, and now I'm looking at their Instagrams, and it just turned into a whole thing where I'm like deep cleaning a drawer, and it's like, no, this is meant to be a 30-minute little tidy up. And so just setting a timer so you can stay on track for how long you want to be cleaning up for has just been so helpful. So anything that you find that like a task that goes a little bit long, even just projects, just having like a timer for how long you want to be doing certain things for is so, so helpful. So you can just stay on track with your day. My 4th tip is going to be putting your to-dos actually on your calendar. When you put your to-dos on the calendar and then you see how long it actually takes you to get tasks done, it makes you realize like, oh, I actually really need to be on my shit today. Like I cannot screw around. And it puts like a little bit of, I don't know, like pressure on the day that when you don't have anything scheduled, it just doesn't. Like coming into today, I knew exactly what I needed to do. I knew how much time each task needed for the most part. And I knew I didn't have a lot of time to be scrolling, or it feels more nefarious to be scrolling because you know that that time is taking away from something. And you know exactly what it is because it's on your calendar. Versus if nothing's on your calendar and you're just scrolling, it feels like, oh, well, I didn't really have anything set out to do anyway. Even though you know you did, it just wasn't on your calendar. And so I definitely recommend writing down all your to-dos. I've just started using Notion's calendar. I really love it. It's so cute and minimalistic. I have it on dark mode and it works really well with Google Calendar, and it integrates really well into the Notion app. So I really recommend Notion Calendar if you are a Notion girly, but Google Calendar is just as great. Apple whatever calendar, whatever you can use to put all your tasks in for the day, I think is great. And I like to do that the night before. So I don't like to come into the day planning out the day. I like to do it the day before. What I really am working towards is planning out my weeks a week ahead versus day to day. And that'll be my goal, to just make Sunday an admin day where I plan out everything for the week. And I'll move things around, of course, but just so I can get ahead of my calendar, plan things out. And if anything pops up, I can see where it goes. I know some people who plan out their calendars years in advance. I am not there, but I would like to be. I feel like the best version of myself is a girl that, really plans her calendars out like years or months in advance. And my last tip is going to be do certain tasks when you are most optimized to do them. And this is going to require really knowing yourself. But for me, I know I am my best worker, my best self earlier in the day, which means I need to wake up earlier to achieve said task, get things done. I know a little bit later in the day, I am more prone to distractions. I'm probably going to be getting more phone calls. And even though I said earlier about the do not disturb, when my grandma calls, it's so hard to say no to her because my grandma, she just doesn't care that I have work. She doesn't care about any of that. And so I know that she's going to call me around a certain time in the afternoon. And it's best that I've already done everything I need to do in that time, before that time. I also know that I'm more productive and I can give more of myself to my work in a certain time frame. So for you, maybe you work better at night or you do certain tasks better at night. So figure out the times that you are most optimized to do certain tasks and then schedule those tasks in that time and then make sure that they get done. This one will definitely take some trial and error, so don't beat yourself up if you don't get it immediately, but stay curious, stay open, be open to experimentation as well. Right now I'm recording in the afternoon and I'm realizing that I hate it. I don't like recording at this time. I'll be sure the next time I record a podcast, it will be in the morning. I also need to record a Pilates class after this for my Pilates subscription that is launching very soon, and I'm not feeling motivated to do that either. And I'm realizing, I probably prefer to record my Pilates classes in the morning. And so I'm thinking I'm going to just move that to tomorrow morning because I personally don't have the energy to do a Pilates workout right now. I've already worked out actually for today. I did a really heavy leg day. And so it probably would have been better for me to do my Pilates workout before I did that heavy leg day. So it's just the things we learned about ourselves, but figure those things out so it can help you limit distractions and you can show up to your work a lot better. I hope that these tips helped. If you implement any of them, or if you already use some of these, or you have your own things that you care to add, please comment if you're watching this on YouTube or leave a review with a little note. I would love to hear how you integrate these things into your life. Thank you so much for listening. I'm so excited to be recording podcasts again and figuring out, a system that looks good for me with this. I appreciate you if you have been a long-time listener and you have been rocking with the podcast. I appreciate your support and I definitely do not take it for granted. Feel free to, I post a lot though on TikTok and Instagram. So if you're ever just missing me, I also post I still post a lot on YouTube. I post lots of vlogs and they're kind of like mini podcasts because I definitely chat a lot. So if you're just ever missing my voice, feel free to check me out on any of those things. All right, I hope you have a great week and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.